Hello and welcome to another episode of Startup Hustle Middle East. Today we are so excited because we've been watching this business for a while now. It's called Mr. Draper, and we have the founder of Mr. Draper with us today. So welcome Mahmoud to the show. So if you had to describe Mr. Draper what's your elevator pitch of Mr. Draper?
So basically what we're doing is making shopping as convenient and as personalized as possible. And the way we do that is allowing the customer to try on clothes picked by his own stylist in the comfort of his own home for 5 days, keeping what he loves and sending back what he doesn't. And the idea is the more he uses the service, the more we understand him, the more we can personalize it. And as always, it's as convenient as ever because we're doing all the work and then you do the shopping at home.
Okay, great.
By the way, if you guys are wondering why I'm dressed differently right now, it's because we're shooting this after the video.
Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and also the company?
Sure. First, thank you so much for having me. I think this is an awesome idea, and I hope it picks up and we see a lot more founders coming here and telling true stories running companies.
Thank you, man.
So I was born and raised in the US.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, I was born in Syria, but I grew up in the US.
Okay.
Left Syria when I was about 6 years old. Graduated from West Virginia University with a finance and accounting degree.
Okay.
And went through the typical route of getting into consulting. So I worked for Accenture for 3.5 years. So I did 2 years of that and rotated between two roles. So at one point, I was looking to take a vacation outside of the US. I never really traveled abroad, other than going back to Syria to see my family.
Right.
So I've heard a lot about Dubai, and in December, I can't really remember, I think it was 2010 or 2009, I came here to visit. I stayed for 2 weeks. I knew some people here, they showed me around. I just thought the place was incredible.
Yeah.
So I think that happens to a lot of people when they first visit Dubai.
It's pretty impressive when you visit. Yeah.
And you never leave. You come visit.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, for me, it's like it had the mix of the Western culture and what I was trying to get close to, which is back to my roots.
Right.
Again, I'm originally Syrian. I wanted to learn Arabic, get better at speaking that. And it was just such a shock to me that this was happening in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So was here in December, spent 2 weeks, and then went back to the US and quit my job and said I'm going to go live in Dubai.
Okay.
When I was at Accenture, I spoke to my manager and I was like, I want to move to Dubai. She's like, you know what? We're actually opening an office in Dubai.
Really?
Yeah. We have a couple people on the ground there. Do you want to interview for a potential role? I'm like, yeah, sure. I think perfect.
Yeah.
So being an American that grew up in a small town,
Right.
When I was interviewing, they kept telling me, oh, this is in Abu Dhabi, this is in Abu Dhabi. In my head, like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, same thing.
Okay.
Whatever.
Uh-oh.
So anyways, I interviewed, I got the job. I was going to help set up the office here.
Mm-hmm.
Vacation December, moved to Dubai in February.
Okay.
So 2 months, I turned my entire life around.
Wow.
And
Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
So I moved to Dubai thinking like Abu Dhabi, whatever, it's 30 minutes away, 45 minutes away, like whatever I can manage. Turned out, not only was it in Abu Dhabi, but it was like in the heart of Al Ain.
Okay.
Wow.
So I was going, I was driving an hour and a half every day to take care of my visa, etc.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, look, I moved all the way across the world. I don't want to live in Abu Dhabi.
Mm-hmm.
So spoke with Accenture again. It's like, sorry, like I'm going to be looking for a new role. So I started interviewing all over the place. I've always been interested in retail, specifically in fashion. I did work at like Hollister and Abercrombie when I was younger.
Okay.
I did like being in that scene.
Right.
Interviewed at Sharhu Group, and then I got a job and started working there in their fashion division. Yeah, Sharhu, which is like a luxury retailer here, probably like the biggest in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked for them in the fashion division. I was managing about 400, 500 shops across the GCC.
Wow, they have that many?
What's that?
They have that many, huh?
Yeah, Sharhu is huge.
Yeah.
GCC-wide, right?
They are very big.
Saudi, yeah, they had shops everywhere, and so I was working in finance, and my main responsibility was just basically monitoring the P&L, identifying any gray areas, any weaknesses, trying to make recommendations to management. And then also at the same time, what I was doing is running business plans for potential acquisitions from Europe, trying to bring them to the Middle East to launch here.
Okay.
So I do like store rollouts, financial planning, resource planning, etc.
Wow.
Yeah, so
So you're deep entrenched into the fashion industry.
yeah. I mean, that's really like
Yeah.
where I got my retail experience.
Right.
Over the course of 2 years, I learned a lot. It's a huge, incredible company, and I really wanted to get more out of it. I basically put together a plan of where I wanted to be within Shahoop within the next 5 years. And then at one point, I started realizing that the company wasn't heading in that direction.
Okay.
So I left to join another startup.
Okay.
So there was a startup that's an HR consultancy
Okay.
that had their first office in the UK, and they were launching in the Middle East, and they were looking for their first hire in the Middle East.
What was it called?
It was called Elron Partners.
Okay.
Does it exist?
It exists in a form in the UK, but no longer in the Middle East.
Okay.
So I was their first hire. It was a very scrappy startup. It was me, and I worked with the two partners directly.
Okay.
And that's where I really got like my pitch experience and learning how to talk to potential partners, how to bring them on board. Because
Right.
what they were really doing is selling. Now that I think about it, it was way ahead of its time. They were selling AI for workforce analytics.
Okay.
So
There are a lot of startups in that space right now.
now we were doing
Yeah.
this in 2012.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Okay.
the market was
2013.
not ready for the startup.
Yeah, like not only that, like not only were they not ready, we were talking to government.
Right.
Okay.
These guys were just doing performance appraisals on Word documents in Excel.
Right.
And we were coming in and saying, like, we can predict what your workforce is going to be like the next 3 years, who's going to leave, who's going to stay, blah, blah. And
So
it's just
the
like,
market's not ready, and you're talking to people that have a slow adoption rate to technology.
at that
Or
stage,
to-
at that
at
point,
that
At that time,
Now
yeah.
think
I
about-
think the UAE government is quite
Exactly.
Very
yeah.
pro AI, very pro blockchain.
Pro technology.
Yeah, pro
yeah, like,
technology.
had they been doing that then, had they been doing that now, it would be a much different story.
right.
Because these guys were brilliant that I was working with. It's just the timing was off, and that's funny about business, right?
It
It's not
happens a
always-
lot,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like not always how good you are and how much money you have.
Yeah.
Timing, by the way, is like I think the second biggest factor of success.
I saw a TED talk where it says it is the biggest factor.
Yeah, I think we're watching the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the biggest. Is it team or timing? I forget. But anyway.
I saw one
timing.
where it was team first and then timing.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was kind of acting as a marketing consultant on a startup, and I was like, I completely get that it's team first,
Yeah.
because that was the
I think
the
you
issue.
can have the best team in the world, but if your timing is off, it just won't work.
So I think it's based on personal experiences, like because Sid with his dad as well has come up with a lot of ideas and executed on those ideas a bit up to the stage of an MVP or something, and
Right.
it's just been bad timing. Like he tried a Dubizzle variation.
So back in the day, we tried, we launched DubaiClassifiedsOnline.com. This
Okay.
was in 2000? 2000.
Ooh, yeah, way ahead of your game.
Yes.
So I was always into technology, and I had studied web development and stuff, so I knew how to make it. And I saw that things like Craigslist and stuff were like picking up in the US, and the whole .com
Yeah.
craze was happening, and I was like, the internet had started coming into people's homes and stuff, so this is going to be a big thing. So we tried it, but people just refused to post on it. Like we'd send out faxes to
My God.
That's how
we used to send faxes to companies to like give their information so people could search for it and we could index that information, but just people weren't on board with the idea that people would search for things on the internet, like at that time.
crazy. And
17 years, right? Like it's
Yeah.
17 years, how much has
Yeah,
changed.
it was very early days for the internet in UAE. So
Yeah.
yeah, timing over there was completely off. Like I think if I had done the same thing 4 years later, it would have got a lot more adoption.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was the case with these guys. That
Yeah.
they had brilliant ideas and they were ahead of the time,
Yeah.
and perhaps maybe in the wrong market as well.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened was they were here for about a year, and didn't close any deals.
Okay.
So one day we pitched a big client, and we all were like celebrating, like, oh yeah, we're definitely got this. And then that was on a Thursday. The following Sunday, I went to the office and actually worked out the guy's apartment. I went to his apartment and they were like, look, like we didn't get the deal. I'm like, oh no, like that's terrible. Like, yeah, not only that, but we can't afford to pay you anymore. Like, we thought we would close a deal by now, but we can't. And so you have two choices. Like, you continue working, and if we close a deal, we can backdate and pay you for what we missed, or you can start looking for jobs.
Okay.
And this was
so
like,
you didn't have any equity in the company?
No, I didn't.
It was a salary. Okay.
It's like 2012, I think, or 2013. I can't really remember. And it was like a month before Ramadan.
Wow.
So we know what happens during Ramadan.
Yes. So for
Blessing
people that
disguise.
don't know,
Yeah, exactly.
So for people that don't know, because we have a couple of listeners who are actually living in the US and all
nice.
over the world. So during Ramadan, the market is just really slow.
It's very quiet. People go on hibernation mode.
Yes, work days are shorter.
It's equivalent to the last week of December in the US.
Yes, exactly. So that isn't a precarious position to be in.
Exactly. So look, I was single and didn't have kids, so it wasn't that huge of a deal. But I knew that it was going to take a while for me to find a job.
Right.
But again, a blessing in disguise. Because what ended up happening is I had a lot of time on my hands, and I started using that time to say, like, wait, maybe there's an opportunity for me here to start a business.
Okay.
So that's what I use that time for, to start like brainstorming ideas and come up with ideas of things that I would potentially start. And to me, like, starting a business then was like my dad and your dad's version of starting a business.
Right.
I knew nothing about startups. I didn't know what VCs do. I didn't know any of these things.
Sure.
So it was like, yeah, I'm going to start a company and like sell and trade and do something like super simple and be my own boss. Like, I thought about it that way. So I had a couple ideas, and like one of the ideas I was actually looking at was starting the equivalent of like American Idol, but for football.
Okay.
So like recruit young talented players from across the.
Make a TV show.
Make a TV show. Yeah.
Oh,
start emailing people. And
that's not a bad idea.
It actually ended up happening. That's
really?
That somebody actually launched. I think NBC launched it.
That's
anyways.
cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I had no idea like what I was
because
doing.
football is a huge sport out here.
And there's a lot of decent talent. I think that if they were exposed and had some training,
sure.
Yeah, there could be something there. And I was emailing people at NBC and saying, I have an idea for a TV show. Nobody obviously got back to me. I was interviewing for jobs. In terms of like clothes, I always liked dressing nice. I mean, that was something I was into. I looked up to my grandfather. Although I've never met, but I always saw in pictures.
Right.
He was always dressed extremely sharp. Traveled to Italy, bought his suits there, and I kind of had that vision of him in my mind, and that was something that I was attracted to. So I tried to emulate that myself.
Okay.
And during that period, since I had a lot of free time, a lot of my friends would say like, "Hey, when I go to the mall, can you come with me, help me pick out things like for me?"
Okay.
I would do that as like a personal stylist, and I was like, you know what? Like, I have a great idea. Like, I can launch a personal styling business.
Right.
So the idea was like I'd hire a bunch of personal stylists, and I would outsource them to people who wanted styling advice, and I would charge a fee. So I started looking into that, and I was like, wait, there's like a bunch of these in the UAE, and like they're charging 500 dirhams an hour.
Are there a lot of personal stylists?
There is, yeah.
Okay.
So
I
like
know
ex-fashion designers that become stylists, and
Yeah.
like they freelance.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot for women. I guess I've never really looked at in men, but it's a bigger problem for men. So
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like they're charging 500 dirhams an hour, and all they're doing is taking them all and saying this looks good and this doesn't, and then you're buying the clothes.
Okay.
Not a great deal unless you can afford it. So it's more for people with high disposable income.
Right.
And what's so funny is that I got an email from one of my closest friends that was like a referral email.
Okay.
It's like, hey, I tried X business. Here's $100 if you want to try it.
Right.
Why is this guy sending this to me? He's never sent me anything like this.
Okay.
And what he ended up sending me was the US version of Mr. Draper.
Okay.
So I started looking into that.
What is that called?
Trunk Club.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that in a video where you were interviewed on CNN. I think they mentioned Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, what is this? Like, why is he sending me this? So it forced me to look, and I was looking at it, and I was like, and then like everything came together. It's like, I know how to do this side of it, and this is just a huge my head, this is a huge opportunity for the UAE. Like this
Right.
is going to be big here. I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I started talking to my friends about it. Like a lot of people that are about to start a company think like, oh no, I'm going to keep everything quiet to myself. Somebody's going to steal my idea. I did the complete opposite.
Yeah,
I told
I
everybody about it.
I think that's the right way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am very protective of idea. I've started to change that about myself.
Yeah.
But Sid's always validated his ideas with people whose opinion he trusts. And he thinks an idea is nothing without execution. Everyone has freaking
Yeah.
millions
of
of
course,
ideas,
of
right?
course.
I think it's the worst idea to not sense check your idea, because it's like,
Some well-intentioned people could really stop you from making a really bad mistake.
and when you sense check your idea also, you'll get different opinions from different people. Like
Yeah.
it might depend on their age group or their background. So it's good to get different perspectives. And the idea that somebody's going to steal my idea and start it for themselves, like I think it's a very, very small percentage chance that
people.
something like that is
Yeah.
going to happen.
And it's like a market research type of thing.
Yeah.
It's more social. And I talked to it with everybody I can meet. Like I was so excited about it. I've talked to imagine like having a box of clothes like picked by a stylist and it'd be at your house. You can try it on, blah blah blah. And yeah, the response was overwhelmingly positive. And they were like, a lot of my friends were saying, you know what, if you do this, like we would give
I'm
you
a
money.
customer.
Like,
Yeah.
we would give you money. We'd invest in this.
Oh,
I
really?
said, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that became interesting. Okay. And like, I can't describe this, but it's like I was going through the motions of starting a company without really registering that I was starting a company.
Right.
Like I wrote a business plan, like 30-page document, which was good for me, but not for anything else.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and this is what the market is like. Because I didn't pitch investors. My investors were my friends and family.
Yeah.
Right? But
And you had experience in writing this with Shaloub, so I guess.
yeah.
I think I don't think you need a business plan, like a 30-page business plan, but I think it's also a good exercise to do it because it's like a thought exercise more than for anybody else, for yourself.
Yeah.
100%. It's good for yourself more than anybody else to kind of like put your thoughts in order, know what you're going to do 3 years down the line, 5. And a lot of the things that we wrote in that business plan, I still have it.
Yeah.
Are things that we are executing or going to execute on.
That's what I was going to ask you. How close has it been, business plan versus reality?
So in terms of strategy, close. In terms of numbers, way off.
I guess that's quite important.
Like when you're so excited about an idea, you're like, yeah, like I'm gonna have 6,000 customers a month. Like
Super optimistic.
super
right?
optimistic. And and that's the thing. Like I didn't know anything about VCs or having mentors, or I didn't know anything about these things, so I didn't do it.
Yeah.
If I had went in and talked to a VC at that stage, I would have gotten really destroyed.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any idea what I was talking about. But needless to say, I wasn't raising money from VCs. The seed or pre-seed round came from friends and family. Wasn't enough looking back at all, but back then it was like, oh, I think it was $300,000 or close to that.
Wow, you raised that much pre-seed?
Yeah.
That's not
awesome,
bad.
But we were buying inventory, so that's not a lot when it's and when you're buying inventory and it's 300,000. It's not a lot.
So how much did you keep for inventory versus technology, or versus your
It
platform?
was like 180 to inventory,
Okay.
like 40 or 60,000 to market. Like we
Okay.
did everything possible. I'm not afraid to admit this because we learned so much, but everything we possibly do wrong, we did wrong.
Okay.
In terms of like equity splits, in terms of cap table and managing that, in terms of how we did our marketing, and we did all of that wrong.
So you're not the sole found.
Yeah, so that was another like confusion that happened is people that were putting in money were calling them, we made the assumption that they were founders, and then we later found out like no, then nobody was working on the business but me, so they can't be
just
considered
investors.
founders. They're really just angel investors.
Yeah.
But we were all calling each other all founders, but nobody was working on the business but me.
Right.
They would all chip in here and there, but nobody was even close to full time. So there's that bit. Like that was one of the mistakes we made. And the type of marketing that we're spending on, we had a lot of mistakes there. We were doing like outdoor banners. We were spending money on another company doing email campaigns for us.
Okay.
So it's just like silly things like that. And we spent money, like decent money on them. Looking back, it's like I could have done so much more with that.
Yeah.
And actually, the original traction of the business was organic versus all the other things that we've done.
Really?
Because the product then was viral, it was so new, so unique, and it was so exciting. A lot of people, when we launched, were talking about it.
You got a lot of press?
We got a lot of free press.
Yeah.
CNN, NBC, Sky News.
Wow.
Yeah, like we got a lot of free press, but didn't leverage it. Another mistake
really?
we made. Like we didn't build off of it.
But did it bring you a lot of traffic?
It got us a lot of traffic. Like so, that was the downside of how do I say this? Is the downside of really not knowing what you're doing, because the downside of getting great PR is you think like my job is done here. Like I was basically just sitting back and watching operations. Whereas what I should have been doing is continuously investing and continuing growing, scaling the business, adding more stylists, adding more inventory. But what I was doing basically is just we got a bunch of demand, I was servicing it.
Right.
Right? And then just waiting to create the next wave of demand.
Okay.
So a lot of those years, in the first year, we were growing, but we were growing organically without doing much marketing.
Right.
Because we had spent all our marketing budget within like 4 months.
Okay.
And then we started playing around with Facebook. Just to give you an idea of our setup at that time. We took 2,200 square foot in Silicon Oasis, which we're actually still in now, but like just massively outgrown.
Okay.
And it was me and 2 stylists, a driver, and our inventory all in one place.
Okay.
And we were spending no money on marketing. People were referring each other, but we didn't know. And a lot of the traffic we were getting in the early days, in the first, I would say, maybe 18 months, was just organic.
Okay.
And looking back on that now, I should have been raising money. Like, look at all this organic. We're not spending money on marketing.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about raising money.
Okay.
I was running this like a traditional business. I was trying to be profitable. I was trying to be efficient. I was looking at the numbers like, oh crap, we lost money this month. In some months we were profitable. Like,
Right.
I was running a very traditional way.
Okay.
I have a question. So you were getting a lot of organic traffic and conversions. What was your conversion rate like?
No, when I say organic traffic, I meant like actual customers using the service.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So interest and also converted to a customer.
Basically what was happening is somebody would use a service and they would tell like 5 other friends. And then
Okay.
these guys would sign up, and the stylists back then, was our version of understanding referral or understanding UTM links. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Our UTM link was our stylist basically saying, hey, how'd you hear about us? And the guy would say, oh, my friend told us. Or I saw a post you guys did on Facebook.
And you didn't even have a referral program in place. Okay.
We didn't have a
that's
technology guy.
Okay.
We freelanced the technology. We built our inventory system from scratch.
Okay.
We used Salesforce for our CRM, but didn't use it to its full potential. So, I mean, these are the type of things that we spent money on in the early days that we shouldn't have.
Right.
So, yeah, and that kept going. And then as we started to grow, I started learning more about Facebook marketing. And I was doing it internally myself, and that really picked up the pace a bit.
Okay.
So at one point, like I started noticing, okay, within 6 months, we're going to run out of cash. So that's when I started fundraising. And that's when the learning began.
Okay.
Right? Like that's when I was like, okay, well, I haven't been doing this right at all.
Right.
Again, nobody should be afraid to admit that, because this is part of the process. It's that,
Yeah.
but the thing is, they say like learn, break things quickly, and learn and move on.
Yeah.
We were breaking things very slowly and learning very slow. So I started raising money, and my wife worked in consulting in the Middle East, so she had a lot of connections. We got introduced to the bigger guys in the VC world.
Okay.
But I didn't go to talk to them about fundraising. Just talk to them about the business casually. And we are blessed to have one of the guys at Bico Capital, who's like a personal friend of ours,
Okay.
look at the business and say like, you guys are screwing it. Like, you guys are doing this all wrong.
Okay.
Is this Amir
Yeah,
Farhat?
incredible guy.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy. They're doing amazing thing for the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about him is his honesty. He doesn't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
What he's truly trying to do is help. Right? Like if you have soft skin,
Yeah.
he's probably going to get under your skin and make you feel bad about yourself. But if you realize his intention, which is really
To teach you.
he's just trying to teach you,
I'll help you.
improve the ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was through these conversations that have had a lot with him over the years that I realized what was missing, like things like cost of acquisition. Right?
You did not know that.
He's like, what? Like, and I was showing him my pitch deck, which looked like an elementary school person had done it. He's like, you know, I was saying things, or, you know, like we were in a year and a half, we were doing $300,000 in sales, which is at 3.5 years, no marketing spend, like 2% of that was spent on marketing. It was really good, but like I wasn't highlighting it. It's what I was showing is like $300,000 in sales. He's like, nobody cares about your 300. Like, how efficiently are you doing this? That's what you need to be talking about. So basically, like, he showed me basically all the mistakes I was making. So, you know, at that point in time, as people have started companies, I'm sure you've been through this.
Yeah.
But you can make two decisions. You can say, like, you know what, I really suck. I shouldn't be doing this, and quit. Or you can take those lessons and just find ways to get better.
Yeah.
But why would you be at that crossroads anyway, considering your business was making money, but your runway was 6 months? Is that why?
It isn't just that. It's just like you know, when you realize how many mistakes you made, you're like, wait, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Right?
Okay.
Like the way that conversation with Amir is pretty rough.
I think every founder goes through that
Self-doubt.
at some point.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no way that you know everything, right? Like businesses require so many different skills, and you will not have all those skills. So
Of course.
at some point or the other, you definitely doubt yourself. But you know, I guess the ones who persevere, you know, go on to
tenacity.
Yeah.
But I think in that sense also it helps to have a co-founder.
Yeah.
So because if you are in that moment of like self-doubt and beating yourself up, you need someone else to compensate and be optimistic about things. So I mean, I know you said that a lot of people believed in the business and invested in it early on, but did you have anyone on your side, not from
Like
a
sounding
VC
board?
side, like a sounding board, or was it Amir that was?
It was like my partner in crime, my wife, who's you know, she was a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I can vouch to that relationship.
Yeah.
She was a friend, and then she became more than a friend, and then a fiance, and then a girlfriend, and then a wife. Having that is like having a co-founder, but not nobody doing the work, but somebody that's a sounding board.
Exactly.
And it really helps that she herself, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, is quite brilliant. I mean, she's a super smart person, completely. She understands the game. She's business minded. She understands the game. Like she was an excellent consultant, but she also has never been in the startup world. So we both didn't know what hit us.
So you were both learning together.
We're both learning together, and you know, her role. I mean, to me, she is a co-founder, although she's not really in the business. She's invested most of the money, but also in the sense that she takes on a lot of what I put on her. Like, oh, this is a horrible thing. These are all mistakes that we're making. This is what and she has to listen to that, take that in, and kind of, you know, prop me up.
Yeah.
I think
really
I think your
helps.
spouse makes a big difference, right?
100%.
Yes, please say amazing things about me right now.
No, you're very supportive, and that definitely helps, because if you don't get support at home, then and you're not, you know, it's tough at work as well, then it can be super challenging.
100%. And that's really what's helped me get through.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm sorry, like we're going on different tangents.
Yeah.
But
so you started learning from
I started learning it.
conversations.
So basically, then I started doing my research, which
Right.
was like, you know, a year and a half, 2 years in. How are these things done?
Right.
I started learning about cost of acquisition, lifetime value, acquiring customers efficiently. So I started to understand that in startups, it's not necessarily how profitable you are. And it depends on what kind of business you want to run. There's nothing wrong with running a traditional business, but in startups where you're looking for high growth and you want VC money, you really should be scaling the business and spending as much money on marketing, doing it effectively, but not worrying so much about the business's bottom line in the early days.
Correct,
Which I didn't know. Like, I came from a finance background, accounting background, and I was trying to manage the business like my dad would, which is not the right approach when you're looking for VC money.
Yeah.
So I started learning about all these things, and then started pitching. What ended up happening is I got invited to a dinner of high net worth individuals. I pitched at this event, and this was very early days. In the pitching, one of the guys that saw the pitches was like, I want in on this, started having conversations. Turned out to be a super angel, raised $600K from him. He's still with us and still on the board.
That's amazing.
He supported us from that day. And that's when the business started to shift. And so basically, like, what we started doing is, like, we looked at the pool of money we had and it's like, how are we going to spend this? And a big chunk would have to go to inventory.
Right.
And we had to figure out a way around that. How were we going to grow this business without spending a lot of money on inventory. So one way you can do that is you can negotiate payment terms so that you try to sell through your inventory and pay for it.
Right.
Which when you're an early stage company is difficult to do.
Yeah.
So what we started doing with smaller brands, negotiating consignment contracts.
Okay.
So basically the consignment, what that means is you bring on products and then once you sell it, you pay for it.
Right.
So you can do that several ways. What we were doing is whatever we sell monthly, we pay for. And then at the end of a 6-month period, let's say, whatever we didn't sell, we would send back.
Okay.
We started doing that with smaller brands, helped us grow a bit. But then what started happening over time, and we started marketing a lot more on Facebook and Instagram, is we started to get some awareness. And when we started getting some awareness, brands were approaching us.
Okay.
We have a different customer, right? Our customers are, let's say, 25 to 50 years old, not necessarily a high net worth individual, but do have a high disposable income.
Right.
The people that shop with us either don't have the time because they're very focused on work and trying to get ahead in life, or people that simply just want some advice from a personal stylist. So that's a unique database, and we're focused strictly on men, and well, we still are, but we're focused strictly on men. So brands were coming to us as a brand positioning exercise. So they know we have certain brands like Hackett and Ralph Lauren and Lacoste, and they wanted their brands to sit in the same box as these guys.
So it became almost like a sampling activity for brands.
Well, that's what they were trying to do, but I turned it into a consignment agreement.
Okay.
So you want to sit next to these brands.
Yeah.
So there's a brand, I probably should mention the name. It used to be a very well-known brand, but it's quickly died down. So they wanted...
Tell us the name after.
I will after. They have amazing products.
Okay.
But people have an association with this brand from the 90s.
Right.
So they didn't know they had these products.
Okay.
So once they put their stuff in our boxes, we were recreating that association with this brand, but on a different level with a different customer.
Okay.
So that's how we started getting consignment deals. And what's funny is what ended up happening is, what we realized is when putting these brands in our boxes, customers are buying from us and then going to the store to buy all the colors.
Okay.
So we're actually pushing traffic back to the store.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
wow.
Rediscovering these brands.
So that's interesting. That's pretty much like the glam box model, which is subscription based. But what they did is they would send you samples of products of brands, all beauty, skincare, hair care, etc.
Exactly.
So that you get to experience the brand, and there were a lot of brands that were signing up because they want to be seen in the same group as the other brands that they already had.
By the way,
and then going and exploring. Are you asking, is it a subscription service?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Mr.
about
Draper?
that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's
We
not a
don't make
subscription.
No. Customers
Have you guys
use it
thought
whenever they
about
want to.
doing that? Oh, yeah.
We thought about doing it just for the simplicity of the customer. Some customers, you'd be surprised how forgetful they can be.
Right.
Like there will be a guy that's used the service in 2015, spent 5,000 dirhams, and then hasn't used it since. And then we called him one day and said, hey, like, how's what's going on? Like, he said, oh, I completely forgot you guys were around. Yeah, okay, I'll use the service again.
Yeah, because that's an easy way to increase your lifetime value.
That's something we can talk about. It's like these things that we did, which we learned a bit later on as our team grew bigger and we joined 500 startups, which we'll get into in a bit.
So you could negotiate with these new brands that wanted to be part to come on a consignment basis.
It's just a better utilization of cash, right? And so instead of spending money on inventory, paying for it up front and then selling it, and so what we would do is we negotiate these consignment contracts, and we pay monthly for what we sold. So basically, we're paying from the money we're making.
Right. And you don't have any dead inventory at the end of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and what else happens? Now you can take the money and spend on marketing.
Right.
That's when we got really good at marketing.
Okay.
So
what did you do with marketing?
Honestly,
and the marketing business, of course. I love this.
It's actually like if I had to think. So as a founder, you have a general skill set.
Yeah.
You have to know a bit about everything. But one of my core now is marketing. That's what I've been working on myself, and that's one of the processes I'm deeply involved with. Even at this stage. I'm creating campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. I'm doing the targeting. And I'm understanding. Yeah.
Yourself?
I shouldn't be now, but I am, and I enjoy it.
Right.
So
I know what you mean.
But play up your strengths, right? Like I think as a founder, and do the things of your business that you really enjoy doing as well, and that you're good at. So
well, I should be doing more hiring and fundraising, but this I struggle to let go of, but I need to at some stage. So yeah, I mean, I started looking into Facebook and Instagram, like figuring out how to do this the best way. I want to figure out how to acquire customers as effectively as possible, and just make sure that the experience I have keeps them coming back as frequently as possible.
Right.
And increasing the retention. So we went through a phase where like we grew 3x year over year. Like, this is amazing. Now we're going to go out and raise a bit more funding. We started talking to some people, and one of the people that we talked to is 500 Startups, which is, if you're familiar with 500 Startups,
Yes.
it's a US-based accelerator, and they have a branch here. Had a phone call with them, got accepted into the accelerator, and at that point in time, I just hired our first tech guy and our first marketing guy.
Oh, wow.
So we got accepted. They invited us to Kuwait for it was basically a 1 month boot camp. It was 2 month boot camp. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on.
Okay.
And then there was a pitch day at the very end.
Yeah.
And just the learning we got out of that. So ever since finishing that boot camp, our business has, again, 2x'd.
Oh, really?
Wow.
We've been with them, yeah. Like, they're super focused. It's a lot about the funnel activation, funnel marketing, and strategies
Great.
around that.
Okay.
And in our business, it was very important.
Yeah.
The things we learned there, like our growth has been tremendous quarter over quarter the past, let's say, 6 months, and then our cost of acquisition has dropped.
Okay.
So
the
what-
things that we learned there.
So what happened at the end of the 1 month boot camp with 500 Startups? You pitched?
Yeah, we pitched to a group of investors. We had a pitch day. It was about 15 of was it 15? Yeah, I think 15 people in the cohort.
Okay.
And then you started having conversation with these investors, etc. So yeah,
I thought 500 Startups was a lot more like early seed round.
yeah.
It is.
Well, they have two. They have the early pre-seed, and they have the pre-series A. We were in the
Okay.
pre-series A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay.
So did you get funding at that stage?
Yeah. So we got funding from 500 Startups. We got
Okay.
funding from an existing investor, and now we're hoping to close a couple more deals.
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, what advice would you give founders or people that are thinking about starting a business? What has been the most important lesson that you've learned?
That's a good question. So the way I think about the business is, when you're launching in day one, you need to manage the business along with the cap tables side by side.
Okay.
And it's a strange concept, but the reason I say that is because, let's say, hopefully, that you get to a Series B or a Series C round. VCs or investors never want to see the founder with less than 10 or 15% of the company, because they'll feel you're not incentivized to continue running the business.
Yeah.
So as you're running the business, you need to also keep in mind, when you raise your initial round, you need to have a business plan to understand where that's going to take you. Once you understand where that's going to take you, and at the next stage that you're going to raise money, you're going to need to raise money. What valuation are you going to raise at?
Right.
And how much percentage dilution is going to happen to you
At that
that
stage.
stage? And then when you take on the next batch of money, how far along is that going to get you? Ideally, what you want to be doing is 3, 5, or 7xing your business year over year with the money that you're taking, so that you're not, as a founder, diluted at each stage of fundraising. So when the cap table and your business plan actually go hand in hand. A lot of people don't think about it that way, because what could happen, which happened to us at some stage, and we had to get it fixed, is we didn't grow fast enough, because again, we weren't spending on marketing, and then we went to raise a round. I got extremely diluted.
Okay.
And because we couldn't get the value because we didn't grow fast enough.
Okay.
But then I had to go back and fix that and redistribute equity, etc.
Okay.
So
and
that's
buy some people out.
just shift equity around. Or you create like option pools or whatever it may be.
I don't understand that. What do you mean by option pools?
So basically saying, I gave you 25%, I shouldn't have done that. I need to take 5%, create an option pool to give back to me as the founder, but if I hit these types of targets.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
like
so
it's-
like
you create like a-
conditional equity. Or
Conditional
something.
equity, exactly.
Okay,
exactly how I
okay.
phrase it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one, and that kind of it's over-encompassing idea of how to run the business. You manage the business plan and the cap table at the same time.
So what you're saying is that you plan for your future rounds of investment right now.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
So
the
you say
beginning.
that, okay, I'm going to raise $300,000 right now. That's going to get me to this level of growth.
Yeah.
Which should then be able to achieve $1 million of funding, and then that's going to grow me till where I can raise $5 million of funding. Right.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
you
and
obviously
how
don't-
much equity am I giving up
Exactly.
at each stage? Yes.
Right.
So let's just do an example. I think it's the best way to understand it. You want to raise 300,000, right?
Right.
With that 300,000, let's say you give away at the very beginning 10%.
Right.
With that 300,000, when you're doing your business plan, you need to say, okay, I'm going to raise 300, and I'm going to do $1 million in my first year.
Okay.
At $1 million in my space, you look at comparables. Like we would look at somebody like Nemshi, who's already exited 51% to Amar.
Right.
They did 100 million in sales. They exited for 350. So you look at comparables in your market.
So 3.5x.
Yeah, 3.5.
is.
So if I get to $1 million, that means I should be able to raise my next round at 4 million. Right?
Yeah.
What's that dilution to me? That's probably another, let's say, 20%. Right?
Right.
$4 million valuation. And then you do your business plan every year in that kind of way. Like now I'm going to raise $2 million, and this $2 million is going to get me to $5 million in sales, and that $5 million, I'm
is
going to
going
raise
to
it
value your company at 10
or
something.
15 or 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't want to, if you're going to raise money, raise enough that you're growing at a fast pace, that you're not diluting yourself.
Okay.
And
So
And I guess
you're saying raise enough money.
it's both, right? Like,
Right.
it's like raise enough money, but also plan to
Grow fast.
to grow fast.
Okay.
yeah.
With ideally, you should be doing it as organically as possible. But yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess it's also important to not raise money when you absolutely have to for your business as well. So, like, we had Ellie from Yellow Pickup who was talking about pitching as a constant project on its own for your business.
Yeah.
So, I guess don't wait till you run out or very close to your runway.
Yeah.
Because then you're not negotiating from a place of
Strength.
yes.
Yeah. So in the US, you can close around in 3 months. Here, it's like 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 6 to 8. So
Okay.
plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as a founder and CEO, which I'm very operational, I'm very on the ground, and I thought that was a great thing and go brag about that. But now investors are like, no, you should be out talking to us and to people constantly. That's your job now.
And have
It's like
someone
you-
else take care of
So,
operations.
yeah, exactly. Like now you have product market fit. Like so, and that's one of the first things you're testing is there a need for this
Right.
service, right? And for us, how do you gauge need? For
Yeah.
us, it's okay. Can we get people to use the service? Yes, but more importantly, can we get them to come back?
Right.
And our retention rate is about 55%. So when you have a retention
Wow.
rate of 55%, you're like, okay, there is a need. People are constantly using the service,
Right.
and you're using it. They want to use it even more, actually, but they want to use it for underwear. They want to use it for
Accessories.
Accessories. They want to use it for sportswear, but we
Yeah.
don't cater to those things. So actually, our retention could be much higher.
Okay.
So basically, the point is we've proven product market fit. We just need to scale that, and I shouldn't be the one. I can lead that and kind of set strategy to go forward, but I shouldn't be the one on the ground doing
Executing,
it.
yeah.
What I should be doing is making sure we have the money to do that.
Right.
Okay, so
and
are you
hiring the
fixing
people
that?
to do that.
Yeah.
Are you working on fixing that?
I'm trying, but I'm trying, but we have a group of guys and girls that we work with, and I love working with them. I feel like I'm working with some really brilliant people,
Right.
and the things that they're doing, I'm always so curious. I actually avoid going to the office sometimes because I get so delved into their work and what they do.
Right.
And things they do in terms of, let's call them growth hacks. I'm not a huge fan of that term, but let's call them growth hacks.
I like that
too.
term.
It's like, it's overused. Like,
Yeah, it
when
is.
guys
It
are
is a
saying that-
buzzword. Yeah.
I sent an email to refer people, and that's a growth hack. It's not a growth hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An example of an interesting growth hack that they've done is that we realized that our cohort from 2016 wasn't come back and using the service. I think it was like the retention of that cohort was 33%.
Okay.
In 2016 cohort in 2018, 33% were using the service.
Okay.
So one of the things we did is we would call and figure out like people that had spent 1,000 dirhams and above, why were they not using the service anymore? And unfortunately, a lot of them either lost their jobs or left the country.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys that we were talking to were saying, I see your emails. I'm interested in the product. I click and then it asks me log in and I forgot my password, so I just kind of give up.
Okay.
Oh, really?
How silly is that?
Yeah.
So what our tech guy did is he built this thing called a magic link.
Okay.
So, oh, you forgot your password? Click this and we'll send you a magic link to your email and you can log in directly from there.
Yeah.
So basically, send him a link, he clicks a link, he's in his profile.
Nice.
We do that too. So it's an instant login.
Instant login.
Yeah.
So
What a simple fix. But you wouldn't know unless you talk to people,
Yeah,
right?
so we do that. So we had a similar problem with the jar car where our car rental companies wouldn't respond to our requests because they had to log in to the back end and do their thing. And we work with small to medium sized car rental companies, so it's hard to get them to adopt new technology. So we changed that. So we just put a magic link, as you said, in the email that goes out to them. So they just have to click and accept and everything gets automatically. They don't need to log in. It's customized to their email for that particular email. So
That's awesome.
It's all like you have to think about the psychology of the customer or the business that you're working with.
Yeah.
The psychology of people and the more friction that you create, the less likely
The
they are
more
to use the
hurdles and
service.
steps that you create for them to.
So everything that when you think about these things, you need to think how do I do this and make it as frictionless as possible for these guys.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, but
So
I think
I'm going back to that point. It's I don't go to the office because we spend so much time talking about these things. Because what they're doing on a weekly basis is testing.
Right.
Getting more people to open emails. They're testing landing pages on ads. They're testing different ads, etc.
Right.
And every week they have numbers that they report back to me to say okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is what we're doing this week.
Okay.
And some of the things they're doing is wow. I would have never thought of that.
That's
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You always employ people that
No more than you.
know more than you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that are smarter than you, but I was like, that's not what it is. It's that just know more than you or are specialists in that specific thing.
I mean, as cliche as it is, one of Steve Jobs' famous quotes is you don't hire people to tell them what to do. You hire them so they tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And these are the guys that we have.
Yeah.
I very hands off. And they've kind of just helped the business explode without me being hands-on. I'm just going to make sure that they get paid and we have marketing money. That's my job.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
nice.
your first advice was to match your business plan to your cap table.
Yeah.
Is that saying it correctly?
Yeah, it's managing both at the same time.
Managing both at the same time.
Yeah.
And second is, since the lead time for closing a deal is very long, you need to be constantly pitching.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, constantly talk to investors. And one of the things that I've learned recently, and perhaps I haven't been very good at, is that you don't always talk to investors when you want to pitch. Try to develop that relationship early on as friend, offline, and just have conversations, understand what they're interested in. Briefly mention your business, what excites them about it, what doesn't, what would get them to invest, what stages they want to get you. Have those conversations early on before you're even fundraising, just so you develop that relationship. That's another thing I learned late.
I think that relationship matters a lot, and I'm just learning that now because I'm at that stage right now. But the relationship makes a huge difference.
100%.
If somebody knows you from before, or they've heard of you, they've heard of your business, and before you go to meet them, or when you meet them, if it's more casual than just a pitch. It does it gives time to develop that understanding and rapport.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been in marketing for a very long time, longer than I like to admit. But
Let's not talk about that.
let's not talk about that. Let's not give away my age. But in my last 2 years or so, my role has been very much business development and a lot less on the execution side, but business development. And that's something that I've learned from just doing, where you reach out to old prospects or people in the business with not the intent of, let me come and show you my creds and my case studies, but the intent of, how you doing? And I saw this really cool event that I think you'd enjoy, and just, things like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes a really big difference, where I've actually seen that without me even having to ask, they've come back and said, we have a new project, we think this would be a good fit. And I think even if nothing comes out of it, I'm happy to maintain that relationship. So I guess it's the same way when you're pitching to investors too.
Yeah, 100%. It was funny when you were saying that. I was thinking like, it's kind of like the way email or retargeting campaigns work on digitally, right? It's like you send out these emails to your customers, not necessarily containing always, and you got to make sure like they're high value, high content emails.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would avoid sending stuff that's very focused on content, like 4 ways to wear a blazer, for example. It's not a conversion type of email. It's more of a email with content.
Yeah.
But what those types of emails do, I'm going to come back to what you were saying earlier. They keep you top of mind.
Yeah.
This is what the exercise you were talking about. You become top of mind for these people when they start thinking about marketing. We become what we want to be, and I don't think we're quite there yet. We want to be top of mind when people think about clothes.
Right.
When people think about shopping or clothes, I want them to think Mr. Draper because they get what they want and they get it super conveniently without having to do any of the work.
Right.
Yeah.
They just WhatsApp their styles and say, this is what I'm looking for. Or they just click a button on their member profile, and that's what we want to build.
Yeah.
It's the same exercise you're talking about here. It's like, you
want
you're
to
not
provide
always selling.
Yeah.
You want to let them know, hey, like, I'm here. This is my
Top of
skill
mind.
set.
Yeah.
So next time they're thinking about
provide
marketing, you're
value.
top of mind.
Yeah. And I think another key component to that is frequency capping as well. So sure, you want to provide value, but you also don't want to be calling a prospective lead 5 times with excuses for content. So I think that is something with retargeting. What a lot of people get wrong is how many times they're telling me that they exist. It's like, come on already, I don't want to go on your website anymore.
So there's a way you can restrict that, because I hear a lot of
Yes.
people always say like, we always see your ads, and they say it in an
That's
excited
not a
way.
bad way. That's not a
So I always
necessarily
get
bad
worried
way.
like, wait, are we targeting the same people way too much?
Well, if they're not saying it in a way like, oh, I'm tired of seeing your ads.
Maybe they're not. They're just being nice.
No, I think people have a tendency to say how they feel. I don't know who these people are, but I like, if you've ever been on booking.com is obnoxious with their retargeting.
I don't think they're that bad.
They
but
are
I've seen some
obnoxious.
others.
And
that
they're
are
not
like-
strategic. After you've booked your hotels in Phuket, you're still seeing deals for Phuket. Like, it's not strategic.
You think they would have at that scale? They'd have better.
It's convert.
It's
don't
actually
tell
like
me
the
that.
opposite. It's like when you have a lot more money, you tend to spend it less wisely.
Yeah.
There's more
Like
wastage.
a lot of these big brands that work here, like the big retailers here, they use influencers. And they spend so much money on them, and they've actually spoiled them a bunch. And I hate to say it in that way, but I mean, that's the reality of it, is that they are very comfortable spending money on influencers for the sake of getting likes more than actual conversions,
Right.
which they're not actually tracking, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem with the whole influencer space now here, is that they've actually been quite spoiled.
It's too expensive.
When a startup goes to approach them and say, hey, we want to work with you, but we want to do it in a way where we're making sure that we're getting value. To us, it's not about awareness; it's more about conversion and getting the right people.
Yeah.
The amounts that they charge are crazy.
Yeah.
So do you work with any influencers?
No.
But you've worked with Elias Alindari.
Yeah, like he's like a very close friend. Like I've known him for a very
okay.
long time, and what I like about Elias and what he's done is the fact that he's actually written a blog and
On
he's been
SMF,
doing it-
right?
Yeah, SMF. I don't know if he's still doing that, but at some point he was very active with that and writing great content and adding a lot of value. And he was the only person in the space doing it, where you have a lot of people now with just very big following on these social channels.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Poor
would
engagement
convert.
rates.
Poor engagement. Well, I mean, some of them have good engagement. I mean, like the way
But
to
the
really
cost
tell if
is
somebody's
good.
buying or not, I think, is if you look at video views, right?
Yeah.
You can't buy video views, to my knowledge. You can buy
Yeah.
clicks, but you
Yeah.
and likes, but you can't buy video views.
Yeah.
So if you have, like-
could on YouTube, you can actually.
No, I'm talking about
Instagram.
I'm talking about Instagram.
Yeah.
where-
Yeah.
So like you see people with 400,000 followers, and then they have 3,000 views on their video. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't think the influencer space is developed enough, and not only not developed enough. I don't blame it completely on that. Our customers are also a bit different. Our customers are not very active, nor would they respond to quote unquote influencers. I think a strategy in the long term for us, there's two strategies. One is we discussed offline briefly. Is content is a big one for us.
Yeah.
Educational content about what to wear, when to wear it, how to wear it, etc.
Sure.
And then there's also micro influencer strategies. We really want to work with people that have done things, entrepreneurs, people in sports, people in MMA, people in weightlifting, like people that have done something and have a following. Those are people that we can our customers I think would aspire to be or be like and can actually influence.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that's posting pictures of outfits all the time, I don't think that's interesting for our customers.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's like more like dress for success, or this is what successful people dress like.
Yeah.
You want to be successful, dress like them.
Exactly.
I think that's very interesting than the superficial, this looks good with these shoes and I think that's an interesting
our customers
approach.
are very how would you call it? I mean, they're very traditional is not the word, but they're very straightforward. They don't like the glitz and the glam. Like we don't send high street, high fashion things. We send things that they're going to wear every day to work,
right?
Or they're going to wear every day to a dinner with their wives or girlfriends, or a night out with their friends. Yeah. But I don't think, and I might be speaking too early, but you're not going to see us sending these T-shirts that are coming down below your knees and have holes in them.
Okay.
Because that's what's in right now. That's not who our customers are, and they don't want that, right?
Yeah.
And they're never going to pay 500 dirhams for a T-shirt just because it has a certain logo on it.
Right.
So customers are
like a Supreme.
never. Our customers are not that.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, so I remember when I first saw Mr. Draper.
Yes.
Which was maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is such a cool concept because I hate shopping.
He hates shopping.
I hate shopping for
and
myself.
And when I shop for him, he's like, eh.
I can't have somebody else, like her shop for me.
Right.
But I like the idea of Mr. Draper because I was like, okay, like I can see the stuff, so I don't have to go to the mall and look around for things. And then I can choose what I want and I can send the rest back.
Yeah.
But I never actually went to that step. I'm just trying to think of psychologically why I didn't do it, because there were so many times where I saw the ad for it. I was like, yes, this is something I want to try. And then I went. I remember even going to the site and like going through half your process of
selecting styles.
Because I think the first step is you create an account and then you give your measurements, right? Which is, I guess, is a must for this business, right? I think somewhere there I was like, okay, I'm giving my measurements, and then I just dropped off and I didn't get back to it.
Did you get to the credit card page?
I don't remember. Potentially, I might have got to the credit card.
I would feel like that's our biggest drop-off point, obviously.
Yeah.
It's very natural. It's like the checkout page for typical e-commerce.
Right.
So I'd be curious if that's the point you got. So, I mean, just an interesting thing we've done. This is another test that we run.
Right.
Is obviously you're looking through your onboarding flow and you're trying to understand where the biggest drops off and like what can you do to fix it. And we know credit card is where the biggest drop off is. So what we've done is said, put in your credit card details now. For us, when you put in your credit card details, you're ready to go. You're ready to get your box.
Yeah.
We have your sizes, we have your styles, you're assigned your personal stylist, we have all your information. In order for us to send the box and have a security, we need your credit card details.
Yeah.
So in case like you run off or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we've done is at that page, we've incentivized saying, put in your card details in the next 30 minutes and get 20% off.
Okay.
Nice.
Did that work?
Yes. That's magic. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And what people end up doing is they put in their credit cards and then use the service like 3 months later. Say, I did it at the 20% off. So
do you have the facility to save the credit card details on the profile?
So not us personally. So we work with Payfort. It's an Amazon company now.
Yeah.
So they have an encrypted version of it. We personally don't have access to it.
Yeah, I know that, but but you save the card. Like once a customer puts in a card, they don't have to put in a card again.
If you use the service again. By the way, we got you a box.
Okay.
So this is a pretty rough. Typically what we do is we have information like your height and weight and your sizes and what brands.
Sure.
Like what I told the stylist to do is like, here's the YouTube links to this guy. I want you to pick out. So what they've done is they picked out 2 looks for you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the box that you
Yes.
would typically receive. If you want to open it up, you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
They put together 2 looks for you, and I don't know if you have the time, but it'd be awesome if you tried them on and
So
gave your
for
wife
all-
a fashion And that's what's cool about the service, and that's what ends up happening.
I like the box. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So for all you audio listeners, he's got a box for us. It's about a foot and a half by a foot and a half round. You guys can watch this on YouTube if you want, because our podcast is available on YouTube as well.
So basically, our customers, basically what they say is that like when the box comes, their wives are getting excited because they're selling like...
it's like unwrapping a gift.
It's a fashion show for the wives as well, right?
It is packaged really well.
So, okay, I want you to give, obviously, like we just looked at the YouTube, that we don't have a lot of details on you. So, initial reaction?
I like the packaging of the box. I like that. Are there shoes in here as well?
Yep.
Oh, cool. So you guys do clothes and shoes
and accessories?
Some accessories, yeah. We're starting to experiment.
So what accessories do you do?
Sunglasses, pocket squares, belts, socks.
Watches.
Not watches.
Yeah, watches would, I think, more costlier, right?
Yeah, in a sense. And I just don't think that there's a way that you can predict. Because a lot of our business is based off technology and data. Okay. So when a customer uses our service, there's an engine that's basically learning. We didn't get the chance to talk about that, but it's learning about the customer. So when a customer first uses the service, what we try to do is create body doubles of that guy to understand his sizing using the data, but also to predict his style based off the styles he selected, and people have selected similar styles and use the service.
So like lookalike audiences.
So you use machine learning.
We have the recommendation engine built on machine learning. We're feeding it a lot of data, and we're trying to learn customer behavior. So what happens? So the customer life cycle works like this: you sign up, you get your box, you return some things, and you give feedback on the things that you liked and didn't like. Okay. And then the more you use the service, the more we learn about you, the more we personalize. And there's another area that we're testing is like what data inputs across our customers are going to help us predict what the customer wants in his box. And one of the things that's interesting is could be location. So people in Dubai Marina and people at Yas Island have the same taste preferences.
Really?
Oh, interesting.
Is that true?
So if you look at it statistically, yes. Is it a cause and effect? We don't know.
That's so interesting.
So far, we can they have the same type of taste patterns for some reason or another.
Interesting. But isn't it an exercise that you need to keep doing based on trends? Or considering that you do a lot of classic pieces with a little bit of an edge from what I can gather, do the trends cycle in fashion not affect?
To an extent. But depends on the customers, and for us they don't have that much of an impact, and we're too early and too small to say yes or no. I think at some point that will come into play.
So not as much fad determined.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Great.
So we're gonna try this on.
Yes.
I like this shirt.
Really?
It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I would never guess.
It is Sid.
This one I have a lot of tees like this.
Yeah.
The white pants, I do like white pants, but I'll have to check the fit.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. I want to try
it on.
Yeah. Oh,
comfortable.
That's a pretty good fit. I like it.
Okay on the arms.
That's another thing. Like if he would need tailoring, he just tells us. And
he has really long limbs as well. So
I generally like my arms are really long, so I tend to have short sleeves. But I think if I was standing up, it'd be fine. And I've never experimented with funky scarves.
What do you think, wifey?
Pocket square,
pocket squares, yeah.
Very cool.
I like it, man. I like the look. So which brands do you guys have?
So we want to work with a lot more, but right now we have Reese, Scotch and Soda, Hackett, Lacoste, Ralph Lauren, Scotch and Soda, Van Hils, Tommy Hilfiger.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we need a lot more.
But a few brands that you already wear.
Alright guys, so this is my look.
And I'm really liking this look. I'm really liking the white pants as well.
They got it pretty good considering they don't know my size. So it's this is a good
straight from the video.
Yeah.
Nice. But I like it, man. I like the look.
Nice. Yeah, it looks good on you.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about your skin tone when you're picking out shirt colors and?
I'm terrible. I'm not fashion conscious at all. Alright guys, so for you podcast listeners right now, we just tried out some of the stuff that was in the box. So I've got a pink shirt on with some white pants and a blazer. with a fancy pocket square.
Yeah.
And I think it looks pretty good. If you guys want to check it out, you can see it on. We'll put it up on our Instagram page.
Yes, definitely.
Or you can check it out on our Facebook page. All social media channels. We're Startup Hustle Middle East. I'm digging the look.
Oh, the wife is really digging the look. So
Yes.
I never thought I'd see the day where you wear white pants and they look good. And the pocket square, never seen that.
I'm not very
Experimental.
with my fashion, so this is something I never tried. So that's one of the reasons I actually wanted to try Mr. Draper. I was like, I need to get out of my comfort zone in terms of fashion.
Let me give you some realness.
Okay.
So what we realized is that although you say these things, I want to experiment, I want to try these things.
Yeah.
A lot of customers that we push on style out of we try to push them out of their comfort zone in terms of style.
Yeah.
Through the box service, they say like, I like the things in theory, but I don't think I can pull them off. So they send it back.
Okay.
So what they end up doing is, so we have another service that we don't talk a lot about.
Okay.
It's something that's interesting and we want to explore down the line. Is we have a thing called a styling session in our showroom.
Okay.
So we've carved out the space in our offices where a customer can come, try on some clothes, work with the stylist one-on-one, pick out some looks, and buy things on the spot.
Oh, okay.
And what we realize is there is where they're willing to experiment with a stylist, telling them what looks good and what doesn't based off their skin tone, body type, etc.
Oh, cool. So you have an in-person service as well.
Yeah, it's free as well, right? So
Okay.
both services that we offer are free. So to expand and to test our hypothesis, we said, okay, like we should do this service as a offshoot of our current service, but move the service closer to the city.
Okay.
So we partner up in August with Vita Hotels,
Okay.
and they gave us a suite for 20 days where we kind of opened up a pop-up shop for these styling sessions.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so what ended up happening is the amount of bookings doubled, the amount of sales from that service doubled.
Oh.
And it became not only a place for a customer to get styled, became a place for a customer to, one, get to know his stylist and get comfortable with us as a business and make sure that we're real.
Right.
Also became a place for them to really expand their style after they got their box. So what they would do is they'll get their box, they would like the items, and now that we're closer to the city, they would actually come to the styling session with the box we sent them and say, okay, I like these things, now show me how to wear them.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
So
Very
it turned into
cool.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I think it's also that they have this assurance, right, that you are really working with stylists that are taking into account skin tone and things and fit, of course. So yeah, it just suddenly bringing an online experience and being able to touch and feel and have a tactile experience with the brand,
Yeah.
in-person experience with the brand, I imagine would be very good. Yeah.
Look, and for us, we feel like that's the future of retail, is finding a way to blend both online and
Omni-channel,
offline.
right,
Omni-channels, yeah. It's a
I
buzzword.
think
Another
with clothing,
buzzword.
it's a really good mix, you know. I don't buy. She buys lots of clothes online, but I don't because
You're worried about fit.
I'm worried about fit. Yeah. So I like the fact about Mr. Draper that over time it'll get better.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it will learn based on taste.
So, like, if I really had to sum up the service, we are blending online and offline with the box service.
Yeah.
So, just like online, you're getting to shop from home, just like you would with a typical online shop. But just like the mall, you're getting to touch and feel an item before actually committing to it.
Right.
So, what happens now with online is you're buying something before touching and feeling it and seeing it.
Right.
And then once it comes and it doesn't look like it did online or it doesn't fit that way, you have to spend time out of your day to send it back and wait for a refund and all that.
Yeah.
And it's not like those players are understanding your taste as you do that.
For the most part, no, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like you returned it and they have a 30-40% return rate and that's all they know.
Yeah.
With us, it's like, yeah, I returned it because it was one size too small. Or the sleeve was a bit long, or I don't like the color pink.
Right.
So the system learns and tries to adjust going forward.
Very cool.
Great. I do want to say that I really, really like the name, Mr.
Right.
Draper. So I think it has to do with Don Draper, which is why I love the name. But can you tell us a little bit about the thinking
So,
behind
it's so
it?
funny. So when we were coming up the name, we had a WhatsApp group with all the people that were super excited in the beginning.
Yeah.
And we're coming up with names, and Mr. Draper just happened to be one of the names. So, Mr. is to give the masculine feel. The word Draper itself means somebody who dresses or drapes somebody else.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's what the actual word Draper, and that's how we came up with the name. Actually didn't find out until about Mad Men until 2016. I didn't know Don Draper was a character, but it was such a great association.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that we never made the connection, but people would always make that connection. I didn't really get it.
Okay.
There's a guy named Don Draper in Mad Men. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, great. And then I realized who he was and what he dressed and what he looked like. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
That is a
Association.
really good
So
association.
it's a good image. to
Brand
have.
fit, yeah.
Exactly.
Brand fit, yeah.
So now it's funny, like when you sign up and you create a profile, like we have an avatar, and it's the shadow. It's the what's it called? Yeah, it's basically the shadow of Don Draper as your image.
Like a silhouette.
A silhouette of exactly.
Okay.
That's very
And then-
cool.
Yeah, so until you change your picture yourself.
Okay, very cool. So, what is the starting price point of a Mr. Draper box?
So what's great is that we figured out how to provide this awesome service, and we charge the same price as the malls. So there's no actually premium to the price you pay at the malls.
Oh.
Okay.
Sometimes the malls will discount, we won't know, but we do price match. So we're charging the same prices that they do in the shops like Hackett and Ralph Lauren and Scotch and Soda and Maurice. Our prices are equivalent to theirs in the UAE.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a shirts are between 300 to 500, the pants 300 to 500, blazers are 6 to 2,000, shoes are 6 to 2,000, shorts are 250 to 400.
Okay.
So yeah, we're in that. I wouldn't say like we're mass like Zara and H&M, and we're not luxury. Or we're at the
High premium.
mid tier. Yeah, mid tier price point.
Okay. Okay. And value of a box is about.
It can
It
range
depends
from
on
3
the
to 5,000 dirhams.
Okay.
But again, you're only paying for what you keep from the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Amazing.
Apart from the box, I'm just curious. Are you ever worried that people will like wear the clothes
Of
and
course.
then return them
course,
without
that happens.
paying? Oh, does it
It
happen?
happens, and we
Oh
charge
my
them.
god.
You charge them.
Yeah.
As you
How
should.
do you find out?
Smell.
Yeah.
Sometimes very
Oh.
obvious. Sometimes I'm sure like it's happened and we haven't found out, but sometimes the guys are just ridiculously obvious.
Okay.
Like we know the barcodes. Our team, like our quality assurance team, knows that
Yeah.
our barcodes for jackets, for example, for some brands are here. And they come back and the barcode is here.
Okay.
And like cologne is on it. It's like okay, like we're charging
Okay.
you.
I'm definitely going to be a customer for Mr. Draper in the
Yeah.
future. I'll
Yeah.
go
Customer
complete
acquisition.
my online booking.
Yes. Yes.
And I think I'm definitely going to use the service, like legitimately, not just because you're
Amazing.
like
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah. Cool. Great. Any final words? Do you think we missed out on anything?
One thing I would want to highlight is what you notice, which is great but also dangerous at the same time. And what's interesting, by the way, is Gary Vee, when he came and he spoke at Shirat, the accelerator in Sharjah.
Right.
Yeah, we missed that one.
He addresses, and it's a global phenomenon, but it's also happening here. Although the ecosystem is developing, and there's a lot more money coming in, a lot more investment. According to the last Magnet report, it's been the best year yet for investments. A lot of that is happening, and a lot of people are starting businesses, which is great. But one thing that I wanted to highlight is the association that goes with entrepreneurship and so the association that goes like the glamorous lifestyle that people think entrepreneurs have, when actually it's the complete opposite.
Right.
So don't go into the business. Again, like it depends what type of business you want to start. If you want to start a high-growing VC-funded startup, that is not going to be a business where it's a very glamorous lifestyle. Right? So go into it with the right expectations. If you want to do freelancing and do graphic design and do digital marketing on the side and live in Thailand, that's a different. We're not talking about those types of business. I'm talking about a startup that wants to get VC funding and wants to be high growth. Yeah. Don't go into those businesses with the mentality that I want to be my own boss and
I can work from anywhere.
I can work from anywhere, and the lifestyle aspect of it. Go about it in a sense that you're solving a big problem and you're going to be working. When I say working, it doesn't necessarily mean like on a computer for 16 or 18 hours a day. Like working sometimes is mentally thinking. You're never switched off, even on weekends. Even that's what a lot of people also get wrong. They think that when we say working, you mean like you're in front of a computer 16 hours. But
Yeah.
it's not just that. It's mentally thinking about the business, having an emotional reaction to the business on the weekend when you see something go wrong. Not taking a lot of holidays, which is not suggested, but it does happen because you are, running a business. So go into it knowing the full realities of what it is to start a business, and don't just think about all the positives. At one point when I was driving down Shakeside Road, I saw a billboard. I forget, it was like a co-working space. And it said, become an entrepreneur in big letters. And be your own boss. I was like, that is not the right message.
Yeah.
That is not the right message.
Yeah.
It should be become an entrepreneur. It's a lot of work. And it never stops. Hashtag keep on hustling. That's our catchphrase, by the way.
Always keep on hustling.
Keep on hustling,
I mean, like that is it. Right? That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Nothing happens overnight. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So make sure people have that understanding before going in.
Sure.
Great.
Alright guys, so we're gonna wrap up this episode of Startup Hustle Middle East. Thank you so much for coming on the episode. It was really insightful, to know how your journey was. And you guys can check out Mr. Draper. We're gonna leave links to the company in the description so you can check them out. We'll leave links to Mahmoud's personal LinkedIn profile as well.
Yeah. I love talking to people about these things, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
So if you want to connect with him, we'll leave the links in the description. Definitely check out Mr. Draper if you live in Dubai. Is it only in Dubai?
It's UAE.
UAE wide, so you guys can check it out if you're a man in UAE. It's a pretty cool service.
So far. And
definitely.
if you're a man and clueless about shopping, which is...
Or you just hate it.
Or just hate it.
Or don't have time.
Or you want to try something else. This podcast is available on all the podcast platforms. So if you guys prefer the audio version, we are on iTunes, we're on Android Podcast, and pretty much all the podcast networks. We are also on YouTube, so if you prefer watching the video version, we are on YouTube. Just search for Startup Hustle Middle East. So we're on pretty much all the social media at Startup Hustle ME. Give us a review if you're listening to us on the podcast. That really helps us out and spread the word. And that's pretty much it.
And if you're an anchor, you can leave us a voice note as well. If you have a specific question for Mahmoud, we'll get him to answer that too.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Sure.
Cool.
This is awesome.
Awesome.
Cool. Hustling, you know what I'm saying?
Keep on hustling.